Alright, I think I've covered the pound, right? I've made fun of just about it. Oh my god, Sean Stutler!
I didn't get to go!
Sean, I know, I'm sorry you missed out. You also missed, man, that Cosmo, fucking funny.
What an asshole.
Sean, I would like to extend my appreciation and gratitude towards you because for all the years I've been doing Rocky Horror, 17, half my life in fact, I would like to say that all the money that I've spent on Rocky Horror, all the poundage of movie memorabilia that I have in my apartment as we speak, doesn't measure in dollars or weight buying a fucking movie theater and then getting $250,000 in debt. Truly proving that the only people here who win the nerd lottery are the banks and the government getting money off our interest.
I declared bankruptcy a week ago.
Yeah! So, I've learned a few lessons doing Rocky Horror for as long as I have, 17 years. Number one, at this point in my life I realized that most of the audience at our show could have been conceived by me if I really was aggressive that first time at the show. I was not aggressive that first time at the show. Dave, you seem to remember, you and I went home together and ran a whole bunch of red lights, didn't we? And then got really drunk on coffee, which was a trend that set the rest of our life in motion.
And jelly beans that tasted like ketchup.
And jelly beans that tasted like ketchup, yeah. Being 17, we were a little, retarded. So the lessons I learned during Rocky Horror, I'm not going to be all that funny with them. I am going to end on somewhat of a sentimental note. I know, sorry. Oh, big fat bald guy not being funny. Yeah, by the way, not a single one of you mentioned my nipples. They're constantly hard. I was cursed and blessed with this. What is that? Why? Am I some sort of nipple maniac? What?
Stop looking at me that way.
What's wrong with me? So I've got 2 points I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, clearly.
The one thing I've learned in Rocky Horror that I've said millions of times is that you can never rely on anybody. Anybody in Rocky Horror, and in life, you can't rely on anybody, but you can rely on each and every one of you motherfuckers to be yourself. Maddox. Dave. Kate. Laura. I could go through it. It's like the fucking magic mirror, right? So that's one. Number two, and some of you cast directors may understand this one. If you leave town for a weekend, perhaps fly out of the country, you can always expect shit to go wrong. You may, in fact, be prepared now to expect that some people might want to take over the cast from you. You also may be ready to expect that this thing would happen more than once. And should have seen it coming. At the time, I was a little bit distracted by the fact that Richard O'Brien was saying, "Oh, Home of Happiness, that's Larry's cast." Only to come back to New Jersey to find out, no, it wasn't. Not for long, right? And the last bit of anecdote / advice, stuff that I've learned from Rocky Horror is not to stress, because all the time, no, seriously, I know, freaking out last minute, Larry. All the times that I've freaked out over Rocky Horror, it has in fact always wound up working, and the perfect case in point was the first convention I ran was in Albany, New York, this little town where there is 3 bars and nothing else. I managed to get 500 people to come to a convention. Of course, this was in 1994, where if you said Rocky Horror, everyone would be like, huh? Huh? So 500 people converged on Albany, New York. It was an East Coast convention that I don't think has ever been rivaled. It was really fun, and it was much like every other convention I've been involved with, was a response to me going to a shitty convention just prior and being like, oh, so much fucking better. I don't know what the boat you're talking about. So there I am, stressing out the entire day, freaking out about the merchandise tables, making sure that we had someone. I met a young Madman Mike, or back in those days was known as Mike Elbow Macaroni, who had a table, was there, I'm pretty sure with an ex-wife. I'm not quite sure how his relationship status went, but he gets married and divorces, like, I don't even know what that is, but that's his life. Yeah. So, hi Nicole, I had mentioned, that's what I was waving to Nicole, really. So, freaking out over this convention, trying to make sure we didn't have any of your fancy, awesome lighting equipment. No, we had one single spotlight.
Yeah.
Things have really changed in Rocky Horror, haven't they, Mike? Perhaps at a convention that we had been recently attending where they had one single spotlight. No, we didn't even have one single spotlight. Honestly, at the time we had an overhead projector, really off budget. We had an overhead projector. I wanted shock treatment to be professional, so I bought a lawnmower, but I didn't think of, lighting equipment. And that's what we used.
You might need to explain that for people.
What's that?
Overhead projector.
Oh, an overhead projector. It's a,
People here have probably never seen one.
yeah, I'm old, so. Before they had projectors, they used to have this thing that you could hold film on and it would project an image. Anyway, there was light, back in 1952, flashlights were humongous and square. We had this overhead projector and we put one on either side of the stage. And with these overhead projectors, managed to somehow figure out that, well, if we point them in either direction, it won't at all light up, it won't block the movie. Of course, you couldn't actually see the actors either because we all just looked like we were arms floating about, but it was a very stressful show. Our props mounted to basically, it was a blackboard that I had drawn the monitor transducer board onto. Things have changed a bit.
Really?
So, I'm freaking the fuck out. I was like, I've never had any sort of Rocky Horror convention or people coming to a show before. I was really, I don't even know if I was in cast at the time. I was just an idiot who was like, well, I did better. I could do better than that shitty Washington D.C. convention. No relation. No relation. I'm just saying. So I went ahead. I threw this convention. I was 18 years old and really didn't know any better. Yeah, years and years later, here I am. At the time,
Throwing another shitty convention.
At the time, as I was saying, I was freaking out, and I remember during There's a Light, I was like, oh my god, I have to shut off the overhead projector! And I ran across the stage to shut off the overhead projector, I ran across the other side of the stage to shut off the overhead projector, and the guy playing Rocky, who is a complete asshole, but thankfully Rob Kuzmiak's not here. Oh, you guys know him? How many of you have slept with him? So he taps me on the shoulder and he says, holy shit, Larry, look what's happening. And of course, I freaked out, but he was actually saying, look what's happening. And I look out in the audience and there are 500 people with lighters, up in the air. And I was like, all right, my work here is done. And that was pretty much, and that's pretty much how I feel right now. Thank you all for coming out.